All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color. We're here for another Friday edition. We got another person joining us. She calls, says she'll be a little late. That'd be Dr. Veronica Brooks. But I do have Mr. Green right here with us, and there's a lot to talk about. I know we're going to talk about some things, but some other stuff. You know how things news just change so fast. I
Yes.
mean, it just like this morning when I came in, I thought I was going to do one thing, and the news changed so fast. I had to go and switch gears and do another. See, that's the deal about today's world. News come real fast. Back in the days, we had a newspaper. We wait for the newspaper to come out, and we read that newspaper faithfully from one page to the other. And now everything's at our fingertips, and it's just crazy. So, good morning to you, Mr. Green. How you doing this morning?
Fine, fine, Ronald. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. One thing I want to touch base on, and this has been coming to my attention from people ask me questions. Ask this question, do this, do that. I understand. I get hit from all. I feel like I'm Muhammad Ali. I'm bobbing and weaving, and stuff. But one of the questions somebody wanted me to ask you was, what is going on in the Republican Party?
Well,
And why is a lie okay? And nobody questioned it, and they all go for it, and they know they're lying. We don't use alternative facts anymore. It's just blatant lying. And what is your party up to? Are they trying to bamboozle the American people with all these lies and all this stuff coming out? Well, what exactly is going on?
first off, I want to thank you again for your time and effort in putting this together. And thank all the people that are joining in this morning. You asked a couple of really good questions. What is going on with the Republican Party? Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I can share what I see. I think everyone right now is kind of grasping for some additional grounds for leverage. They're trying to gather the people's attention by, you know, going at different things, and it probably ties back into the lying. I mean, if you listen to what some of our party representatives are saying, their reason for, I say, stretching the truth is so that they can really grab the public's attention to what they feel are some serious matters. While in my book and probably in yours too, there's no room for that kind of stretching the truth, or if you want to say outright lying. It just doesn't show good character, in my opinion.
So, what I'm getting at, well, basically just the lies, but they want us to believe that this state is going to the hell in a handbasket if it switch parties, and they're using that scare tactic, and they want to scare people, and the best way of scaring them is lie. We got millions and millions of people coming across the border. We got this going on. Last I looked down there, there's not that many people. As a matter of fact, the border crossing is as low as it ever been. But yet they still hyping that lie up to scare people what's going on. And then they come out with false things like, for instance, Ken Paxton going to knock on people's door at 6 o'clock in the morning because they heard that they were harvesting votes. Now, as far as I know the law, you cannot go by hearsay. You got to have some type of proof of what's going on. And that was another scare tactic that they did. They thinking they could do the same thing they did back in the 50s when they got away with it. But the way news is going nowadays, that's not happening anymore. People are waking up and saying, no, okay, we know what you're doing. So now they changed that from one thing to another. It was just like they put out, I heard of severe thunderstorm warning. I heard tornado warning, hurricane warning, but I never heard a warning come out of Paxton's mouth that we got to look out for illegals voting. There's already a law for that. Why do we have to go there constantly over and over?
Well, you know, our attorney general, um, I think he does a great job in different places. When it comes to the vote harvesting tactic, again, I think uh, that is very suspicious. At least the timing of it is. You know, I think we have all along tried to clear the books of uh, people that are on the books that are, let's say, that have passed away, that have moved away. We have done that routinely over the past years. It's just that it appears at this time, it comes within, 2 months of our election, and that raises some red flags. Um, but Ken Paxton, he does do a good job. He is a bulldog when he gets going. Um, and somehow or another, they got started on this vote harvesting tangent, and we'll see what comes of it. But again, it's another way of kind of keeping our records clear and current.
Well, I just gotta say, you just say he's doing a good job, but he was almost impeached for the stuff that he's doing. He refused to take a subpoena one time. So how can we trust somebody who's going to be impeached and got away with it, and now we're going to listen to what he has to say? Now that voting harvesting is not an isolated deal. A couple of years ago, I forget the representative name. It was a Republican. He was accused of vote harvesting, and he had to step down. But we didn't hear that much about that. And you can't just do one and not the other. The Texans are a little upset the way things, and everybody knows double standards here. I'm not. We're not gonna lie about. At least I'm not gonna lie about it. It's double standards there. It depends on what color your skin is, on how they're gonna do things. Oh, I could step into a lot of stuff with that, like before I lose my train of thought, when we're talking about voting and stuff, I seen an article that I read that somebody discovered on how you can look somebody's name up and find out how they vote. They showed that. They proved that they could show what district you voted in, who you voted for, if you're a Republican or Democrat. Now, as Ken Paxton is so good, I want to know how come he's not looking into that, because that's messed around with our privacy.
Yeah, Ron, I've heard the same thing, and in fact, people, if they really want to see how I vote and what party I belong to, I don't know how they do it, but they can go back and search the records, and they can pull up exactly how I voted in the past elections. While you and I may think and believe that's an invasion of our privacy, but with technology and everything that they're using nowadays, they can get into some pretty sensitive areas. And well, I don't agree with it, but it is certainly being done. Um, there again, I think we need people of character. We need people of good, sound, moral judgment. And try to eliminate some of these things I'm hearing.
Well, some of the stuff, it's I forget what news put it out, and the people who discovered how to do that, they're not saying how they found that information out. That's scary. What's going to be next? We already got the refrigerators on brand new refrigerators that you put out there that let you know what you need for groceries, what's in the refrigerator. So that's basically what they're doing. They say, well, let's see who voted for who. Let's see if we could find out something on them. Because my personal opinion is, if they could dig that up on you, imagine how they could plant information on you. It's just that easy to do. If they could do that, let's say they could do that too. They could do both. They could find your information. All right, he's running for office. Let plant something in here just to mess things up for him. Is that where we headed to?
Well, unfortunately, it looks like we're already there, because you hear them come up with some pretty interesting things, and you wonder, well, how did they get that information? Uh, but I think it's, you really have to do some soul searching if you want to run for public office. And I've stuck my neck out there, and I've ran, and I am going to run. Uh, I just have to make sure that all my T's are crossed, I's are dotted, because yes, there's some ways and some unscrupulous people out there that will bring stuff up that will come back to haunt you. So you just got to be careful, and just be aware.
So you go out, you run for office. Abbott have already shown that if you don't agree with him, he comes after you. A fellow Republican, he'll go after a fellow Republican. It doesn't matter, and he goes after you to get his way. Now, how can you be for sure when you run for office if you say something that basically pissed Abbott off, he comes after you? What is that saying about your party?
Well, it's I think when you look at what our governor does and how he goes about it, um, it's I should hope it's not a true reflection of the entire Republican Party, and that's where I'm going with it. I think if he's choosing um, to use certain tactics to go about getting some things done, and so while the entire Republican Party doesn't agree with that, but that's his way of getting it done at the present. So um, we'll see how long that goes.
Yeah, we just had Dr. Veronica Brooks just joined us. Good morning,
Good
Dr. Brooks.
morning.
Good morning, Ms.
How are
Brooks.
you? Good morning.
Okay, so you caught us in there. I was asking about the Republican Party,
Yes.
why they lie so much. Not all of them, but it's enough in the high places that are making some Texans' life a living he double hockey sticks,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to get his side of it on why they do that, because what is that called? Fear, phobia, and something else. I forget what it is. But the scare tactics that's being used that is blatantly done out in the open, because back in the past they didn't do it out in the open, but now it's almost like all gloves are off. I'm gonna say what I got to say. I'll see, throw something on the wall and see what sticks. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of, but all Republicans, they're not like that. We know that. I mean, I know that, but some people are not going to think that way. We have some good Republicans, but they just have to be able to just stand firm and not be afraid of those tactics, because those are just scare tactics that they try to use to discourage them to do what is right and the choices to make that is right for the people.
yeah, that's true. Well, me and Mr. Green talked offline, and we look at the same thing we want, even though we go backwards about it. The finish line is still that we want the same thing, and it's hard to get
Yes.
people to understand that. And the country, well, the state is so divided. Like, one thing I want to bring up, we used to be able to talk to each other like we had some sense. Now you can't talk to each other
Exactly.
because they're ready to fight over something that's not even fightable. If that's a word right there, I just made up a new word. But do we have to fight down the fist because of what we believe in? I was told early in life you can always agree to disagree and still shake hands and walk away. We can't even shake the other person's hands anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's so different. I don't know. It's that, I hate to say that, but that Trump era that has just brought in a lot of violence to me. It's just in the air. And, that's not really, that's not good at all. That's really not good at all.
Well, there are people giving them pushback in this party. We see that going on right now. But it's pushback. What's going to happen November 6th? What is the state of Texas going to be after November 6th? Because we have a lot of minorities running. And so what's going to happen? Which brings up this one point, Mr. Green. Why, when a minority wins the election, Texas passed some type of weird law that they have the right to question you, your ability to do the job. Well, the Texans voted you in, so why you should be second guessed?
Well, I think when it comes, if you're a person of color, black, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, um, there's always going to be that question of ability. I mean, you're well educated, well experienced, um, and they're always going to come at you. I call it sideways. Um, it's just something that we need to be aware of, and we're experienced, educated. We can handle whatever they throw at us. Um, so I know people, they'll talk about Trump and bring up different things with past President Trump. But one thing I am glad to see is, we had this issue race that's been, it's been, you know, down under for so long. It's always been there, but nobody really talked about it. And now this president, he's brought it out in the open, and you can see who is, who's the wolf in sheep's clothing. So I'm kind of glad to see it's out front and center, and we can talk about it now, because the job interviews and different places that I've been, decisions may or may not have been on race, but it's always a question. And if you bring it up, they just get scared to death. I'll give you an example. I was with my city manager and my police chief, and I brought things to them that the people were bringing to me. One of them was racial profiling, and I had my city manager there. I had the police chief there, and I said, "Okay, Mr. City Manager, I'm getting these questions about race and racial profiling." And man, when I said that, this guy backed away from the table so fast, I thought he put his car in reverse. But and this has been, what, 10 years ago, but he didn't want to deal with it 10 years ago. And now here we are. We got the president. We got everybody talking about race. So let's get it out there, okay? Let's talk about it, and let's see who's wearing, you know, what color, blue, brown, black, red, whatever the case may be. Hey, let's discuss
I think I think the reason why people don't want to discuss it, and I'm gonna say it, is they don't understand our culture. They're scared to death of our culture. Why? I don't get it. We understand their culture because we were brought up with their culture, but when we go ahead and say something, we're angry. We're mad. No, we're not. We're trying to get a point across. You got to go ahead and admit that we were brought up to carry our voice strong. It projects strong. I've been told that many times. Even my wife tell me that. Oh, are you mad? I said, no. It's just the way you talk. I said, I'm passionate what I'm talking about. I don't mean to scare nobody off. But, if you look at that, they're scared of that. Why? I don't know.
I think it's more, I don't, I think it's more jealousy. And I think it's because the things that have been already done because of the past things that their fathers have made, their forefathers have made. I, that's, how I look at it. Just like, you know, when they went in there January 6th, you know, all that, you know, that is what people are asking. What do you think they're gonna do after, you know, when Madam President, I know I ain't supposed, but Madam President Harris get up in that office, right? But when that happens, they're asking what they're gonna do, because see how they reacted on January 6th. And now they're really cutting up, you know, they're coming out even more. It's just without the mask. We already know that. You can't sit down and really talk to somebody that actually just hates you. There's no way to talk. But they're going to have to get over it, and they're going to have to come to the realization that they are becoming the minority. That's the basic thing that is happening. It's a lot of jealousy. They've stolen a lot. And actually, I would be afraid too. Roland Martin wrote this book on white fear, and it was all about that, what they were fearing, that Black people are going to come in and actually take over, and this is their frustration, the way they're lashing out at, and they got a leader to help them to lash out.
Well, you bring up a good point, Ms. Brooks, and I think I've heard some of the same things also. And I asked myself, why fear us? You know, we're still the minority here. But I think what you're saying does carry some weight, and the biggest way to get over that, if some ever do, is, I mean, let's get together in a four-cornered room and let's sit and let's talk about the issues. And you know, some of the norms we had as a school teacher, you know, you may not agree with what, you know, the next person says or the other person says, but you just agree to disagree and move on. That's the way we ought to handle that one.
But we can't. I don't know why. Some people are riled up on both sides, and they don't want to disagree. They want to fight, and that's not going to solve anything but continue tearing this country apart. We got to sit down with level heads.
Right.
With level heads, we got to sit down. Matter of fact, we got to get the right people to sit down with level heads. I'm not talking people that's got all that money, have them sit down and talk. You need to get real people in the room to talk and what's going on.
Exactly.
Because there are a lot of people that still don't understand blacks. They don't understand us on why are we angry? Why are we fighting for this? Because everything's been taken from us. Once we get there, they figure out a way on how to take it back. So we need to have grassroots people down there from both sides to sit down and talk. I'm tired of these politicians talking because they can't do nothing for me but just bump their gums. We need to have some people that's rational to sit down and to talk about the issues of what's going on, and that be the starting point of healing.
Yeah.
Wait, yes, you're right. But in order for those people to be there at the table, they've got to pass all these background checks. And I think I've got a lot of support out here, but a high percentage of my supports, they can't vote because of they've got X number of felonies, or they got this record or that record, and so that hurts us. So we have to bear some of the responsibility too, and that some of our behaviors are not conducive to being a card carrying voting citizen out there. So, you know, a lot of it's just kind of our own behavior too, and heck, we're in prison. You know, the men, 60+% are African American men in prison. That's just disgusting. So, you know, there's the other side of the coin.
You know, when you said that right there about being convicted of a felon, once you pay your dues and you're out, you should be able to vote again. That should not be taken away from you for life. If you paid your dues, you paid your restitution, your time, you're now free again, you should be free to vote.
And that's the law that I have read, because I looked up that. they can vote, but a lot of them are afraid to vote, because all the treachery, everything that goes on, they're always coming at them. But a felon, they actually can vote once everything is completed with what they were charged with. Everything has to be complete. So unless there was some type of record they had that they could never vote again, but they can vote. And they should know that. And that's the thing we have to get out. We have to let them know that, show them that they can vote, and there's nothing illegal about it once everything is complete. We probably have to just show them the documents. I don't know are the law, but yes, they can vote once that, they complete all their sentence and all their restitution and everything.
And that's the part of educating them, letting them know, because they're scared to death. They go vote. They think they're going right back to jail.
Yes.
So that's a
Yeah,
good
see,
point.
that's what they do, the tactics. And I'm glad we have people that are in Congress now fighting for us, that are standing on, our behalf. And even the Jasmine Crockett, I saw her even yesterday getting them again, because the thing is, we have to stand on what is there, the receipts, everything we show, and the proof, the facts, everything, and all those other little tactics that they do. Those are those little scare tactics that they try to come at. But we have to really, I think sometimes we have to really know our rights, we have to know our laws, and not to be afraid to stand on those laws.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Sometimes when we do stand on it, we're in more trouble than anything else, because there's certain counties out there that don't care. I'll be honest with you. There's certain counties out there that don't care. And believe it or not, do you know Texas still have sundown cities?
What?
Yeah, they still have them. I did
What
a
in the world is wrong with Texas?
I did a
Oh my
research
God.
on that. Not only Texas, there's several states that still have
What?
sundown cities.
See.
So there's that scare tactic right there. If you're in a county and you better not go through that city at a certain time, you better be out of there.
See, that's why everybody carry. See, this is where they have to stop all this. This is why people are doing what they do, is because when you attack, for example, when you attack us, we're going to be able to. There's a lot of us that are going to stand up for ourselves. This generation is not going to take what they have done in the past. They can't try to bring that back. This generation is not going to put up with it.
Yep, and they're not. Generation was it
Well,
Z X?
you bring up Texas, and I was born and reared here in Texas, and I love Texas. Okay, it just when you look at how big this state is, and you go from north, south, east, and west, and the biggest percent of the African American population is east of Interstate 35, and once you get into some of those areas, it can be pretty tough. And I won't even mention areas because I don't want to make a mistake like Jay are talking about the city. So, but it's important to know, where the biggest portion of our people are at, because you just feel comfortable when you're around your own people. As you get farther west, some of those counties that you can't even find a black person there. And they look at you kind of funny when you drive through or when you stop to buy something.
Yeah.
They treat you a little different, but we what I think we have the biggest. There's got to be a reason for that.
Yeah. But that's crazy. That's just bizarre. Which go for the state of Texas. We're focusing on Texas with the voting and everything coming up. We have to be aware of all those things. One thing we have to be aware of is the minority precincts. Um, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen to those precincts, so they don't want us to vote. And to the life of me, the state of Texas, Ken Paxton, Abbott, they spend more time trying to suppress our vote. They do more damage doing that, coming out with innuendos that's not the truth. And the scare tactic, it works on some of the older folks here, older blacks and Hispanics. They lived through that back in the 60s and 70s, and they're scared to go to the polls, all because little things are said, and that's what happened. I don't know why the Republicans are scared to have a vote. We have never had a problem with voting before. It's all been legit. It's all been legal. Never a problem. And now what they're throwing out there is doubt. They're throwing doubt out there. And you know, it's been the law for over 100 years. Now they want to doubt that law that they made.
Mm. Yeah. But
Any
if they
comments
don't
on
get
that?
Go ahead, Brooks.
Oh, yeah, but they really don't need to fear. I know Abbott and Ken and them, that's just like another bully to me. And the thing is, they better I think they just need to back up and stop doing all that fighting. But I know they want to stay in control. And it's all about greed, all about having control, all about really being in that dictatorship. But the thing is, there's people now that are running for their, that is going to be running, that Colin Outridge,
All right.
yeah, running, that are going to be taking their place. They're scared of that. And there's other people out there that are going to be standing up, and they're standing up for what is right. Because like I said before, we're sick and tired of all this fighting, all this bickering, all this nonsense. We're sick, all this nonsense of being afraid. We're sick and tired of that. We don't want that anymore. There's people out there that just don't want to fight against dealing even with the racial part of it. People are wanting to come together. People are wanting to come and win and work together. That's what we're looking for. That's what we want. So, Abbott, Cruz, and Ken, they all need to just back up and let us come on through. Because one thing, we're not, like I said, we're tired of all the stuff. We want to be able to work together and live. All people want to do is work and get paid equally, the economic empowerment of it, be paid, the right way, not trying to cheat us out of money. We want to be able to go and put food on the table and just have a good time with our family. That's it. We don't want any of the other things. We just want to go and just have a great time in life instead of doing all this fighting. This is why it's so important for us to vote right now, because if it wasn't a problem, they wouldn't try to suppress the vote. If it wasn't a problem, they wouldn't try to come after every area in every state, about the voting right. If our vote didn't matter, evidently our vote is so powerful, and that is what really they're scared of, because actually they think, yeah, I'm sure I heard a gentleman say, oh man, the black people, they're rising up. Oh, I just pray to God that they don't treat us like the way we treated them. I said, oh Lord, my mind wasn't even, thinking like that, but then I had to really think about it. Some black people are pretty angry. And if they get the wrong person, yeah, they're going to be pretty angry because of what they have done. They have killed our daughters. They killed our sons. They killed our parents. They have done a lot of things. And then the thing is, when you turn it on the other foot, can they take it? Can they take it? That's the thing. They can't take it. That's why they're fearful in trying to stop every vote they can right now. To me, that's my opinion.
well, well, yes, and Ronald, you brought up something here a couple of sessions ago when people you ask and they say, well, my vote doesn't count, my vote doesn't count, et cetera, et cetera. And you get all these excuses. Well, the vote is very important, like Ms. Brooks was saying. All power is within a vote, and some people they just feel their vote is not it doesn't count. Well, in actuality, politics is local. Ron, you made that point before. Politics is local. These offices that we have, city council, school board, and on up, they're extremely powerful because they're affecting your kids and your grandkids and so on and so forth. So we need to make that point. Yet when we have an election, we have a 5%, 6% turnout, and so somebody's not getting that message, and we need to keep pounding home that that it does count. And you see your local elections was city council. They're voting on budgets to how to run your city, and you ask, what did you vote? And they'll still say, no, I didn't vote, or I can't vote, I'm not eligible to vote. Yeah. But yeah, we got to get a higher voting percentage, even in our local elections. Now, come this presidential election, I would say we're going to have a pretty high voter turnout because there's a lot of interest in it. So that's good to see.
Yes, that is a lot of interest in it because people want change and they see the change. You can see night and day just in the candidates, that are running for, different areas, especially like in the presidential area, you could see it. It's night and day. You could see that there's one that cares and really bringing the change. You can feel when somebody really wants something done and wants to change instead of somebody else that is just focused on themselves or being like a thug. Like when January 6th, to me, that was a bunch of thugs. That's what thugs look like. That's what, the ghetto, that's what that looks like to me. But the thing is, when you see those candidates like that are different, people want transparency and they want people that really care about them and about their livelihood. Because what I see now, they're trying to take the livelihood of the people. You should never mess with nobody's livelihood. I think that's really a danger zone.
I'm glad you said something like that because I'm gonna bring up something about voting registration. It's free. I tell everybody it's free to register, but we constantly have to look at that to make sure we're still on the voting poll. For instance, TD Jake was kicked off the voting deal. He didn't know why. He voted every year. He was kicked off. So now that's another struggle we got to do. We got to continue check to make sure we're eligible to vote, and we shouldn't have to do that. That doesn't make any sense. There were over 1 million people kicked off the voting poll. I gotta look at this. I gotta make sure I say this right because I'm still astonished by this number.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
It was 1 million. I'm trying to figure out 457,000 was deceased. We had that many Texans that passed away. And then I'm still trying to figure out 6,500 non-citizens. And this is a kicker. 19,000 voters who requested to cancel their registration. Now, who in the right mind going to cancel the registration? First of all, there's no website you log on to and see to cancel your registration. I looked it up. It's not on there. So Where did this 19,000 people requested to cancel their registration to vote came from? I've been looking. I can't seem to find it anywhere. You know,
See,
and so what is going
they
on
know
with that?
because they're trying to cheat. They they lie so doggone much.
Well, that's Ms. Brooks and Ronald. You bring up a point. I was standing in front of a group, and he's retired now, state senator, and but he stood up in front of the crowd and said, you know, these people that you're electing, they will lie, cheat, and steal. And he's born and raised in Texas, and he made that point. I thought to myself, and we accept that, and by accepting it, we just keep voting the same ones in over and over and over and over. And if that's the mindset of a senior senator retired, and he spent years in the legislature, and that's what he says and stands up in public and says that. And I said, well, why does Texans, why do we accept it? So we need new blood in there if that's the case.
Somebody,
Exactly.
yeah, somebody said that point one time. That's not from Texas. Point blank asked, "Why do we put up with that?" And I looked at him. I didn't know the answer to that. I'll be honest with you. Why do we put up with it? I never seen it like that. Be honest with you, because I studied the candidates I'm gonna vote for. I don't go to the polling place and start guessing and picking out numbers. Okay, that name sounds good. That sounds good. But that's how some people vote. So
Because they don't know no better.
this is the reason why Texas in Color is here, to educate everybody about voting, to let them know what's going on. We want to inform them about who is running and what's at stake. We want to be able to have the importance about voting, local and national. And we got to engage them to let them know that their voice can be heard. And that's part of what we're doing here at Texas and Culture, to let everybody know what's going on. But what's that old saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. And that's where we're at right now. We're leading, we're letting them know, but they don't want to drink it. So how can we conquer that part right there? We got them going in the right direction. What is the next step we need to do?
They get thirsty enough, they'll start drinking.
Yeah, I think what we have, and I'll take my little town. Now, when we were growing up in the 60s and 70s here, we only had like 20,000 people. Now we have 120,000 people. So with the influx of at least 100,000, you would expect to see some change or more changes. But we got more of the same that are here, unfortunately. And then it becomes a matter of complacent. When you go in there to vote, a lot of those people we don't even know. And so you're just going by name. You hear a name and it's been there over and over, so they just check that box. And so, yeah, we got to get out of that pattern of doing the same old, and look for some different names to get different blood. That's the only way you're going to get this thing turned around, in my opinion, anyway.
And what you said is so true. And this is the reason why we got an influx of black people running for office. And that's where a scare tactic coming, because that name recognition is not working anymore. Because that's how it used to be. Oh, so-and-so, his father did a good job. Let's vote for Junior. Okay, Junior did a good job. Let's vote for Junior's son. That's how they go by voting. They keep that legacy going. And excuse my French, but sometimes that's just ass backwards. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that. And when you start voting for the same people in office, nothing's changed. They were brought up to believe like this, and that's how it's going to be. Nobody wants to change. People are scared of change.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, the reason why I said when they get thirsty enough, they're gonna figure out. And right now, I think a lot of people are seeing, because when people start messing with your livelihood, for example, when you want to go to work and you know your money is so short, and you know that you're probably the best worker, but you're getting the least, but then somebody want to take that as well, that's going to give you a wake up call,
Yeah.
because you got mouths to feed. That's why when I look at a political figure, somebody that is running this for any, position, I want to see where they're going to take what they can actually do for me, what they can do for my children. You know, I'm not saying, my children are grown and all that stuff, but kids, there's people that have,
Yeah.
kids that, going to be in school. What are they going to actually do for them? For example, like Tim Walls, he actually got those kids, they don't even have to pay for lunch. He saw a need. He saw kids coming to school that were hungry because they didn't have enough money to pay for food. See, when you start looking at all those things, you're going to see, oh, wait a minute, I don't need to vote this other person back in again, because we don't have food to put on the table. We don't have really a shelter to put over our head. So I'm looking for, when I look for people just like Jasmine Crockett, when I first sat down there with her in the office, she showed me something about her, and she really cared. And I hadn't seen that in a long time, going back and, up there in DC. And she had encouraged me so much. I said, wow, there's really somebody that cares besides Auntie Maxine. She, we call everybody call her Auntie Maxine, Congresswoman
Yeah.
Waters. But yeah, they care, and they're trying to fight to fix everything they can for the people. And this is where I believe we have to support them to help them get where they need to get, and all the candidates to get where they need to get, the ones that we see that care about changing our community, that's really going to fight for us and not going to be so afraid of whoever, but really get out there and stand up for us and know what we're dealing with and what we need done. Just like I saw today, those Haitian people, I feel so sad for them, because now in Alabama, they're having these town halls, and now they're going to, I forgot what you call where you have to go and petition like the mayor and all the things like that, because they're saying they want the Haitians, out, because they think they're causing all this trouble. See, it bounced everywhere because somebody told a lie. See, so it's another thing there. We have to actually find out what's wrong and what's going on, and see if our representative is going to go in there and help and fix that problem, because that community has already been disrupted. And all they did was really come here, you know, yes, to maybe get a better working environment, but they also came to help. It was a win-win situation to build up each other's, county. So
Yeah.
my thing is that, back to what I was saying, when I look for a representative, I look for them to help me. Like another example, I like talking and teaching about economic empowerment and how to create, the wealth, but I don't like telling them they have to always go borrow money and put them in more debt. So how can my representative help me to get them with the grant money and get that grant money awarded like they need it? Those things like that, when they know what I'm looking for, because there's things I want to help people too. So those are just some of the examples that I look at, because I look for a representative that's going to really stand up and be bold about it and fight for what I'm wanting to do to help other people myself.
Yeah. You said a mouthful right there, young lady.
I know I did.
But that's all right. Before we leave, I want to touch just one topic. Um, when the federal government gives money to the states, Texas, for instance, Greg Abbott cut the unemployment money coming in. He said we don't need it anymore. The money that comes into the state that distributed to the counties, um, they are doing this thing called repurposing the money. It's allocated for the rural counties, like they need internet out there. But they go to some type of way. I'm trying to figure out how they get away with this. They repurposing that money and sending that money elsewhere and not for what it's intended for. Now, they get away with that. They be getting away with that. I just be point blank. Some counties repurpose that money and send it straight down to the border. That's exactly what they did. There is known facts. There's proof of it that they did that. So, Mr. Green, my question is for you. Repurposing money taken away from the county that needs it down to somewhere else. Now, how is that right?
Well, it's not right. Uh, and we've had those discussions here. And in fact, if someone actually points it out and bring attention to how that money has been used or misused, as in the case, it just continues to go on and on and on. And I had that issue here with some grant federal funding that was meant to go into some economically challenged areas, but they used that money and directed it somewhere else. Well, until you called their attention to that, it was going to continue to keep on going. And so you first, like you, Ron, you first have to be aware of it and notice it, and then bring it to someone's attention that can say, "Hey, this is wrong, and it's got to be changed." Otherwise, they can. There's a chance that they could lose that federal funding. So yeah, that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, only in Texas. That's all I say. Only in
Well,
Texas.
But they sit up there and fight in Congress because of, okay, like now they're wanting to shut down the government, right? And because they can't agree to release that money. And I know about this as being in the acquisition arena, contract specialist, contracting officer, all those years. I'm retired now, but the thing is, when we got ready to award that money, we always had to wait on Congress, because they have to approve that budget. And see, this goes back to the thing, people that really care, because now they want to change something on the Republican side. They want to change something in the voting part of it before they approve the budget. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's too late to be changing stuff. You don't need to do all that.
And there's already
Because
a law
see,
for that already.
Yeah, a voting suppression thing again. So those things like that, we could never move until they approve that budget. But my thing is what we talked about earlier, we have to come together and we should be able to talk. Whether we're Republican or Democrat, we have to be able to talk to move for the people. And just like Mr. Green said, that we got to get the right people in the right place that can be able to talk and make things move and make things go forward, because it's about the people when we're in a political state. I mean, I'm not in no whatever political But I'm just saying the people like that are running, we need the right people in there.
Yeah. Amen to that. All right, boy, where did this hour go? I don't know, but I enjoyed it. Dr. Veronica M. Brooks and Mr. Green, we appreciate y'all coming on the show this morning. Things we got to get out there for people to understand and people to know. Voting is important, and early voting getting ready to start up. So, one thing I want to touch base on. I talked to a gentleman overseas, Joseph Lee. They didn't realize the deadline they had to get their absentee ballots in, and they're running around there in Japan trying to figure out how they finally got everything together because they know it's got to be mailed in and postmarked a certain day for to accept it. So that's another point right there, that word is not getting out to the people that's overseas working or in the military to make sure they get this out. So
You
that's
see
that's
it.
that's one
Okay.
thing we need to look at and work on and help them out as much as possible.
Yeah,
So
because
Yes.
we used to do that when I lived in all those different countries. Usually the military it makes you aware of voting. But I guess because I was in the acquisition arena, I was not in the military, but civilian. And then they usually let us know. But there's so much stuff going on.
yeah,
That's one thing we would have to tell, like maybe one of the admirals or something like that.
yeah. All right,
Mhm.
everybody. We appreciate it, and we'll catch everybody next week. Same channel, same time, all that good stuff. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
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 All right, everybody. That's Texas in Color right here. And I'm Ronald Gordon. And we appreciate everybody tuning in and listening this morning. And we'll be back with y'all next week, same time, same place, right here. So take care. Have a blessed weekend.